Hey, what's up, guys? It's Garcon45 back on the. Okay, the game's gonna freaking loop on me. Anyway, back on the journey to new horizons. This time I'm going to be playing Doubutsu no Mori E Plus or Animal Forest E Plus. Here with me today is a special guest.
Hey everyone, I'm Cuyler. I'm the translator for Doubutsu no Mori E+. I've been actively working on the project for about 2 years now, and I've finally released the first public preview build of the game, and that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Links will be in this. Links will be in the description, along with a link to his Patreon page if you want to support him. Okay, so you want to explain to everyone what Doubutsu no Mori E Plus is?
Sure, so many of you may know that Animal Crossing isn't actually the first Animal Crossing game. It is a port of a port. And the original game was for the N64, Doubutsu no Mori, and it was released very end into the life cycle of the N64. I think it was within the last few games released on the system, and it was originally a 64DD game. I'm sure you've already gone over all of that. But they ported it to the GameCube as Doubutsu no Mori Plus and added a bunch of new features like the museum. They added
The
island.
museum wasn't even in the 64 game?
Nope, there was basically nothing in the 64 game. It was
Wow.
very empty. It didn't have the museum. It didn't have the tailors. It didn't have the island. It didn't have a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, it couldn't have the island because that needed the Game Boy.
Right, but so basically that was the Doubutsu no Mori Plus, is they added all that stuff that they wanted to add in the N64 version, but didn't have time and they didn't have the ability to, just based on their constraints with the system. And then we got Animal Crossing, which was a translation of the port from the N64. So it's a translation of Doubutsu no Mori Plus, and that whole game is what we know is the first true English Animal Crossing, and that was actually an enhanced version of the Doubutsu no Mori Plus. And Nintendo of Japan was absolutely stunned by how well the Treehouse team did on translating and localizing the Animal Crossing game, that they decided that they were going to take what they had done and retranslate and relocalize it back into Japanese, and then on top of the additional features added in Animal Crossing, they were going to add even more. And they released that as a deluxe version called Doubutsu no Mori E+, and it was never released outside of Japan, and it's basically the definitive version of the GameCube Animal Crossing. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say to add on to that, you're gonna be seeing a bunch of like random stuff that they did add in later games, like for example, the ability to pick up flowers, even though it doesn't have really a use in this version, whereas in later games you could use them to breed and crossbreed flowers and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
And, like public works projects, stuff like that. Like you could build stuff to put around town.
Mm-hmm.
Just a whole bunch of others. Go ahead, sorry.
There are a lot of features in this game that became the foundations for features later in the series, and a lot of people just don't know that. Like this game is actually what was the so-called fabled Animal Crossing 2, which some people may know about, was going to be based on, but instead that just became Wild World.
Yeah. Okay, I stopped here because I wanted to leave this in, so one more thing. I have a message from the translator. And you can read this.
Oh boy. Thank you for playing
Chill for
the
yourself.
Japan translation of Doubutsu no Mori E+. Wait, what happened? I think it froze.
Oh, sweet. Is it still frozen?
Are you still there? Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay, that was a thing.
Yeah, that happens every once in a while.
No, this never happens, I swear.
Technical difficulties make or break a video.
Well, then all of my videos, all of my speeches too, but all of my videos are broken.
Well, that just makes them better.
Okay, let's try this again.
All right, we'll get back into it. So I'm just going to warn everyone: there is a spelling error in this, and it's absolutely amazing. So now I will continue. Thank you for playing this fan translation of Doubutsu no Mori E+. Before you get into the game, I want to clarify a few things. Firstly, this is an in-progress translation patch. That means you will encounter Japanese text during your playthrough. It is not finished. There will also be bugs. If you do encounter a bug, please report it to the Animal Crossing modding Discord server. This patch would be possible without the amazing Patreons who help fund the patch. Would be.
Yeah, that's a great typo.
That's the typo, yep. If you would like to get access to the month... Oh.
It did that on its own. I didn't press a button.
Oh, okay. Okay, whatever. I hope you enjoy playing the game.
I like how that was intentional. You just wanted to, like, try as fast as possible to get past shilling.
Yeah, it's like, please, I don't want to shill. If you see this text, okay. But if not, whatever. Alright, but yeah, that's the little intro I wrote for it. Hopefully most people got a good laugh out of the spelling error.
It's since been fixed, but not in the public patch.
Right.
Later. It'd be completely possible without him. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be able to put, hundreds of hours into this project without people.
Well, we've all seen the intro to Animal Crossing. I'm pretty sure this is mostly the same, except for the way you input text.
There is the SD card file name, which is slightly different. Yeah. That is the only difference in this, though.
Okay.
So you're basically just going to go through. It's the exact same dialogue from Animal Crossing. This is just they localized this directly back into Japanese. So I just took Animal Crossing's dialogue and just slapped it back over it because it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense.
Yeah, and this is the dial. If you all aren't familiar, it's the exact same as Doubutsu no Mori / Doubutsu no Mori Plus. It's very efficient for typing Japanese.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible for typing English.
Yep.
One day, hopefully, I will translate, or I guess implement a replacement. Yeah, see, the issue with the dial is you cannot go back. So you have to press down to cycle through to the next set of letters. And if you miss your set, you have to go all the way back through to get back to the letter you wanted.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad, but it's not what we want. And also, there's another bug. This has been since fixed in the patch, or the Patreon patch. This was, these are a result of me transferring the game from a hacky build to a program I wrote called GC Relink that allows me to unpack the game files and work with them in a more effective manner than just editing them in a hex editor and such.
Yeah.
And I didn't have very much time to get this public patch released since I promised it on a certain day, and I missed that day. Yeah, it's only got 6 characters, so you're stuck.
Yeah, I know, but it works because my last 3 towns have been named New Whore. Just with different spellings.
No. Oh no.
You going to New Ho? Sure.
That's right. And here's the SD card name. SD card Ame. Yeah, so there
what happened there?
I really don't know. It wasn't like this. I guess when it dumped the file from the game cards or whatever, it just got broken somehow. I don't know. It's fixed in the Patreon release. You can actually enter 8 characters in this, by the way.
But you didn't set it up for the town name?
Well, no, because this was how it was in the English or in the Japanese release. It was already 8.
It was already 8 characters.
Yeah, but the reason that I haven't expanded the names is due to basically memory constraints. It's very difficult to do that.
Yeah, New Ho, who dis? New Ho is one of my favorite vacation spots.
Okay, and now this is just the standard choose your face dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you click the last option at the very end of this dialogue set, it randomizes your face no matter what you chose.
What if you say "leave me alone"?
No, at the very end of it, like the last one where he's like,
Oh, if you have money.
yeah, it's like I'll make it somehow or whatever it is. I'll be fine or whatever. There's two options, and if you choose the second option, it just throws away your choices and gives you a random face.
That's interesting.
But you can choose your face by following these dialogues in a specific order, like the responses.
Yeah. You can. I think it's like that for the first 3 games.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like that in New Leaf. I don't know how it's done in New Leaf.
Yeah, I don't either.
It might be the same, actually.
And then, like in later games, you just have like in the side games, you just have the ability to pick your face and hairstyle.
I think they're doing that in New Horizons as well.
I hope so.
Yeah. If you click just a little, that's the one that randomizes it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Is your shirt determined?
No, it's entirely random. There are, I think it's 5 possible shirts that you can get starting, and that's entirely random. It might be 6, but there's just a list of the shirts you can get, and it's one was just randomly chosen. Nothing you do influences that.
Because the first shirt I ever got was the fire shirt, and I got the fire shirt in like 3 games as my first playthrough.
That's just how you got it. It's just you just got lucky.
I don't mean 3 just playthroughs of the same game. I mean 3 different games.
Wow, that's RNG. That's some good RNG. By the way, what month is it in your town right now? Do you know? Is it still January?
I think it's January.
Well, then you'll notice that the ground colors are different from what they usually are. They're kind of a tinge yellow. And that's actually a new season. There are 2 new seasons in Animal Forest E Plus that they added.
Did the ground also have stars before?
Yes, yeah, it does. It's I think that's if you have circles as your default grass color. The winter color always has a different pattern than the other ones. But basically, in E Plus, the developers added 2 new seasons. They're both winter variants. One is like either like a melting or building up of snow, and then the other one is like a yellowish hint of snow, which is what we're currently looking at.
That's cool.
And they removed it from the game. Like the palettes were in the game for the colors, they were there, but they weren't applied to any given season, and they were never accessed by anything. So they were kind of like leftover data.
What you mean in the original?
In E Plus, in stock E Plus. And one of the things I did is I re-implemented them into the game.
Oh, so this is a U thing.
Yeah, this isn't in the stock game. This is an Animal Forest E Plus exclusive feature. You'll not find this in Doubutsu no Mori E Plus.
That's cool. Have you how many of those have you done?
There's only 2 because the data for them was in the game files.
No, I mean how many exclusive things have you put back into the game?
At this moment, I'm pretty sure this is the only true exclusive thing I've put back into the game. Oh, that's not true. I just did one with GC Relink. I added back in the A to F for the map symbols on the side, where instead of in stock E Plus on the map, it's all numbers for both rows and columns. But in Animal Crossing, the map was letters for the rows and numbers for the columns.
Does the dialogue still reflect that, or does the dialogue?
No, the dialogue is updated.
Okay.
Originally it reflected the change back before I did it, but I edited the code so that it would put the right stuff in it after I changed it to use the A to F. Like if you go look at the map right now, you'll see what I mean. It'll be markedly different. Yeah. So the A to F that is not stock. Those files don't even exist in the game.
So it's like 1, 1, 1, 2, and all that?
Exactly. That's why it's row and column. Originally, it said 1 row, 1 column. Because the game has it set to being Bantai and Chome, which is kind of like street and block in a way. Like those translate to street and block. It's kind of like more... It's basically, this game is set up to be like a rural place in Japan, and those are a lot more applicable in Japan, where that's a very common way of like listing out the address of... a given person's house.
Yeah.
So, It didn't make much sense. I will in a later release change it so it doesn't have row and column and it just has A-1 or something. That will come.
Well, I mean, I can't even remember what the Animal Crossing map looks like now that I think about it.
It's the exact same, but the only difference in this map is that it says column and row instead of having the letter and then a dash and then the number.
Oh, okay, I see.
It's almost the exact same now. And here's another new feature right there if you want to show that off.
Yeah. Well, I can't because...
He won't. Oh, yeah, that's right. He won't let you do it.
But this was something that they added in Wild World after this, and this is medicine. Right?
Yeah, it is medicine. And it actually, in this game, serves two purposes. You can cure yourself of bee stings, just like you can in Wild World, and there are now villager sick quests where, randomly your villagers can get sick, and
I think
they'll
that was
have
in Wild World.
It was in Wild World, yeah. It just debuted in this game.
Oh.
And they can have up to 5 sickness levels, or 5 levels of sickness, I guess. And you have to give them medicine every day, just like in Wild World, until they're cured. And then they will give you a present, and they will like you a lot more. The friendship will go up a lot. And also in this game, one of the things I love about this game that I think that they kind of like left out in later games is they will remember that you did that, and they will talk to other players about how you saved them from almost dying.
That's cool.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh my God, Garkon so totally saved me the other day. I was gonna die. I couldn't move out of my room, but he brought me medicine, and I feel so much better now. He's such a great guy." Stuff like that.
I mean, I feel like the games need more stuff like that.
I think that's what gave the original N64 through GameCube games their charm. Like, they have more. Their dialogue is more geared towards including the player in the everyday events rather than just kind of the animals being emotional as robots. You're like integrated into the town.
Yeah.
And everyone can either love you or they can hate you.
I like that they can actually hate you in these games.
Yeah, they can be mean in these games.
It's
They'll
great.
call you fat. They'll call you stupid. Oh yeah, there's another feature. I didn't even see you pick up the flower.
Yeah, I picked it up while you were talking about bee stings and sickness. As you do, just normal everyday conversation.
Yeah, the flower feature is entirely useless but quite cute.
Yep, I said that before. Like, you can pick up the flowers, but they do nothing.
So they're actually in the N64 version. This is a tidbit of information that I don't think very many people know. There are flower stages. And what I mean by that is there is a stage of the flower where it's just the petals and it doesn't have the flower portion of it.
Kind of like in New Horizons whenever you pluck them?
Yep, and if you plant that flower like that, it will bloom into a flower the next day.
Interesting.
So it looks like originally they were going to intend for flowers to be like have a growth stage, kind of how they do in Pocket Camp or now in New Horizons, I guess. Yeah. So we haven't really seen that yet, but we will, I'm sure, soon.
I mean, yeah, we've seen them pluck the flowers and then the stems stay there, so you would assume they would just keep growing.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know, if you plant the seeds and then wait a little while, or if they just are like in the other games, where if you plant the seeds, they're just fully grown.
Right, we don't really know what it's going to be, but basically, seems what it was intended to be, and I think that they were probably intending to include that feature in the original games, but it got cut for some reason. Which is unfortunate, because it's a really cool feature.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it would be. Because in these games, like, one of my favorite things to do is crossbreed flowers. So anything that has more stuff with flowers I would enjoy.
Yeah, I really wish that they had added that in this, and that's one thing that they added in Wild World that was a really big improvement, was the flower breeding and the ability to, like, water your flowers and, care for them, and they're not just, like, a static resource. I mean, it's kind of nice, because if you don't feel like watering your flowers, you don't have to. But...
I wish, yeah, I wish... Because they're basically just for decoration, but you know how finicky putting stuff down is in these games.
Well, you would think they're just for decoration, but they're not.
In this game,
they
they're
actually
not?
they serve one purpose and well, they serve two purposes, but the one purpose that most people don't know about is that for every flower you have in an acre, it will offset one weed in that acre towards your perfect town count.
Really?
So if you have greater than three or more weeds in your town, or you're in a specific acre, that acre will no longer count towards a perfect town, unless you have a flower planted in that acre, and for every flower you have, it will negate one weed. So if you had half the acres filled up with flowers and half the acre filled up with weeds, it would be 0, so it would still count it.
That I never knew that.
Yep, I didn't know about that until we were doing a Golden Axe research for the speedrun. Brian and I came up. I was reading the code for how the town generation is, or not generation, how the town perfect status is scored, and I found that there. It's not. That's the only other place that flowers are used besides the more commonly known one, which is the villager quest, where they may ask you to plant flowers around their house.
Well, isn't there like one more where like you can catch certain bugs on them, or is that just in later games?
That is a feature. No, that is a feature. You can catch the snail on flowers in this game.
Is it just the snail, like the mantis wasn't in this game?
Actually, no, the mantis you can catch it, and the ladybugs. You can catch a snail, the 2 different ladybug types, the mantis, and then the cockroach can also spawn in the flowers.
Really? I thought the cockroach just spawned on the trees.
It's also able to spawn in the flowers. It's not exclusive to trees.
Oh. Here's another new feature, is that these shells are all 3D models as opposed to sprites.
Yeah, they got a little bit of an upgrade this for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't get it, but...
I mean, it's a little bit more appealing, I guess.
And Captain's just here.
Yeah, that's a huge feature in this game. So, as you all know, in Animal Crossing, you aren't allowed to go to the island. Captain won't even spawn without you plugging in a GBA and a GBA connector. However, they got rid of that in E+. They decided that that was too much and that they were going to give everyone access to the island. So what they did is you have your final debt to pay off for the house, and once you get your 2 stories, you pay off that huge debt on that second story. Tom Nook decides to offer you a private island, and that he will offer you your own boat to then in your boat captain that will ferry you to the island for you whenever you want. And they went so far as to not just give you one island, they gave every single player their own island. So there are 4 islands in this game that you can get if you have every player fully upgraded and have purchased every house, every house upgrade. You can get an island for each one of them.
So it's basically like they just added a post-game thing to buy after you pay off your house.
Yeah, you pay off your house. You have to pay off the island, though. The island is $995,000, if I remember correctly. And once you pay that off, you get the option to put the statue down, you know, the statues that go in front of the train station. However, another new feature in E+ is you can actually decline building the statue if you want. If you do not want the statue there, he will ask you if you want it. And if you say no, then he just will not build your statue, and then it will never be able to appear again. So it's just like you take your one choice: do you want the statue or not? And if you don't want the statue, he won't put it there. He really won't. It was a good feature to add.
Yeah, I guess for people who don't want to take up the space in the town.
Right, because it literally just kind of pointless. I mean, it looks cool, but like besides that, there's nothing you can do with it. So you can actually choose to not build it, which was a cool feature they added in this game as well. But speaking of islands,
I mean, yeah, that's all really cool, but that means you kind of can't go to the island until way late in the game, doesn't it?
Right, it's late game content. They're kind of adding progression to the game.
So, I mean, it is an upgrade, but it's also kind of a downgrade.
Right, and some of you may know about the snowball trick to get yourself to the island early. I would highly recommend you do not do that, because if you try to go to the island by walking without taking Captain, you will crash the game. It does not have an island loaded unless you ask Captain to take you to a specific island.
That's what I was going to ask, because you can have up to 4 islands, so...
It switches the island out when you... So basically, the way that it works is, when you purchase your island, or when you get the loan for the island or whatever, after you've gone there the first time and you've named your island, Captain, when you come back, will ask you if you would like to allow other players to visit your island. And if you say yes, then any player, including travelers for other towns, can pick your island to visit when they come into town and talk to Captain. And they can go to your island. But you can choose no, which makes it your own private island, and only you can go to the island
And
on your character.
does the island work the same way? There's just one villager and a house there?
Yes and no. Since everyone has their own cabana now, so you have your own cabana house entirely for you. So there are 4 cabana houses now. But there is no starting villager. In fact, if you go to the island, you will find a villager signboard where the houses can spawn on the island. And that villager house sign is where the islander will spawn if you scan their e-card with the e-reader plus, which is where they moved the GBA functionality to for it. Instead of the island being entirely locked behind it, they just made it so that the islander is locked behind the GBA.
Is that the one that washes up on the shore?
Yes, the islander, I have video of this. The islander, after you scan their card, will wash up on the shore like Gulliver, and you have to talk to them a couple times, and they'll moan and groan, and they'll get up and walk around and be like, oh, I don't know where I am, how did I get here? It's like, I remember one of the dialogues I was translating was hilarious. It was like, it was breaking the fourth wall. It was kind of like, I seem to remember being inside of a card at one moment, and the next moment I was washed up on an island. It was funny dialogue.
Yeah.
But basically, then you have to leave the island, and the next day or the next time, one of those, when you come back to the island, their house will be built, and then they'll be your islander. And I'm pretty sure you can cycle out islanders. So if you don't like the islander you have currently, you can just scan another islander's e-card, and
what,
they
just
will
kick them out of their house?
Exactly. You can do that irregularly. So that is a feature that I was going to talk about. You don't just scan islander e-cards. You can scan villager e-cards. In fact, there's like, what is it, like almost 50 new villagers that are exclusive to e-cards in Animal Forest E+. Like, they're not available to be to move into your town unless you scan their e-card at the Wishing Well. And an interesting tidbit of information here is that their data isn't stored in the game files. It's entirely stored on the e-card. So when you scan it, it transfers their data into your save file only. So nobody else has that.
Yeah,
and it was the first form of DLC that Nintendo kind of did, because they could literally distribute as many e-cards as they wanted and make them however they wanted, and they would work.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of not moved on from that model.
No, we all know the amiibo cards that they have today. This was the original Animal Crossing cards with a template for that.
Basically,
and they went even further in E+, where they actually locked villagers behind it. However, if you have access to a computer and the ability to edit the save file, all of those original villagers their data has been dumped, and you can insert them using my program ACSE, or you can use an emulator to scan their card in virtually and get them in your town. So they're not really locked anymore.
Yeah, that's a great thing about the modding community.
Yeah, they're there, and you can also make your own custom villagers with the program I wrote if you'd like your own custom villagers in your town.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, but I couldn't figure it out.
It's a bit annoying to do, but once you get it down, what I like to do is I like to use one of the pre-made ones as a template, and then just make my villager over them. So like if you wanted to make a cat, you would just take one of the DLC cat villagers and load them up in the program, and then just overwrite their textures and their data.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit easier.
I'll put a picture up right here of your Morgana.
Oh, I love Morgana, yeah. And Hai made a really cool one from, if you've explored the content in New Leaf, the Somebody model. I don't know if you know what that is.
What, unreleased content?
It's not unreleased. It's like debug content, I guess. It's in New Leaf. It's
like Hazel or whatever her name was, the squirrel.
Chestnut. Yeah, no, not. You're thinking of Blazel, but the name is Chestnut now, right? Which I found that name a while ago.
Yeah.
But no. Somebody is a test model that they used in New Leaf, and it's still in the game files, and it's a cat, but with wooden textures.
What?
It's bizarre. And Hai in the Discord, the mod in the server made the first ever custom villager using that as a model, and they made the Somebody model in Animal Forest E+. It's actually really cool looking.
Yeah, I mean, I bet. If I can find a picture of it, I'll put it up.
I'll see if I can get you one. I've got a couple pictures somewhere. I also have the data file for it if you'd like to put it in your town.
How irritating would that be to do that on console?
It's not that bad. You can open up your
Oh, I could just use
save file
yeah,
and ACSE.
ACSE.
Yeah, it's super easy to do. But yeah, so that's the discussion. There are all those villagers locked behind. There's super cool stuff, and there is another small tidbit of information off of this where they actually added new furniture and wallpaper and carpet in E+. But all of the furniture, not the wallpaper and carpet, almost all the furniture they added is locked behind the DLC villagers and scanning them. You can only get them from the DLC villagers if you get them to send you a letter, or if you play the GBA mini games at the Wishing Well that they added.
Oh, they added more stuff for the GBA?
Yes, there are 3 mini games that they added to play with your villagers on the GBA at the Wishing Well. You can download the mini games onto them and play it, and then you can put your score. If you score or win or whatever, you get a prize in the game, and you get basically, depending on what day of the week it is, you'll get a specific game. If you go to the Wishing Well and you download it to your GBA, it'll be a different game. There's 3. There's one that's like tug of war. There's one that's like dodgeball, and then there's the red light, green light. If you know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty. They're little cute games.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably try it if I was, if I had my Game Boy connector still.
I can send you footage of it if you want.
Right.
I can get footage.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, they're really really cute games. They're like not really anything amazing, but they're fun to play, and they're a replacement because you can't use the GBA Island anymore. The GBA Island stuff has been removed.
And oh god, I forgot what I was gonna say.
You're fine.
Oh god,
we're finally done working, so now we can go to town some more.
Yeah. Also need to get some money.
Yeah. Sorry about I might have rambled a little too long there.
No, it's not your fault. I just, my mind completely blanked. I didn't get a lot of sleep.
That's all right. That's all right. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of other new things. I mean, we could talk about. We could potentially show off the reset center.
Yeah, that would take a bit of setup though, wouldn't it? And don't I need to reset at least once in order to see it?
You have to reset at least twice. The initial dialogue does not count, so you'll have to reset. You don't have to actually go through the initial dialogue. You have to reset, load your game, and then you can immediately reset again.
Which would be funny because then he'd get mad at you and you won't know why.
Yeah, you can skip the whole dialogue. You're just like, why is this man mad at me? Why is this mole mad at me? It's interesting. Did you know that Resetti can spawn at the train station if you reset on travel data, and he will yell at you at the train station?
Oh yeah, I think I saw that like really recently. Like you posted or somebody posted a video in the.
Yeah, I posted a video because Brian was messing. We were trying to find some new strats for all debts in Animal Crossing, and he was doing some travel data, trying to see if he could duplicate items. And when he was doing that, he reset, and Resetti showed up at the train station.
That's funny.
I didn't know that was programmed into the game, but it's like actually a thing. It's hilarious.
It's amazing what you can find when you try to break a game.
They thought about it too. It's so cool. That's not an E+ thing. That's just an animal. It's probably in Doubutsu no Mori Plus, honestly. I haven't investigated much about Doubutsu no Mori Plus though.
Because there's really no point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the versions they made later makes
the other
64 version and the GameCube version completely pointless.
Yeah, I'd say that the N64 version serves a purpose as being it's the only one on the N64, but the Doubutsu no Mori Plus has absolutely no purpose outside of the fact that it still has the shrine model instead of the wishing well, and Resetti has different clothes, and a lot of people have different clothes in that version. Also, there are different games in it, different NES games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have different Japanese games in it instead of some of the ones they put in.
I guess that
AC.
makes sense.
But yeah, so other stuff to talk about.
Well, we can end the day because we've been going for about 40 minutes. Although I have to cut out like maybe 10 minutes of it, so 30's fine for the first day.
Oh yeah, sure. Didn't even realize it was that long.
Yeah. Time flies when you're talking about something you're passionate about.
Yeah. It's just an encyclopedia of knowledge, and I've only talked about like 3 of the things.
Yeah, that's cool.
But there was a few more things, so I guess we'll just let the day cut out here, and I don't know what your normal format is, if you just talk through it saving, or if you...
No, I'll just I'll stop the current recording and then I'll start the next episode.
Cool.
Taking a bit to save, I guess, because it's the first save.
Yeah, it's writing it all to the... It has to write everything. Now you're good. It just... After this, it's pretty fast.
Okay. So, I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. See you then. If you'd like to test the translation in progress patches available for anyone to download, you can find it on my Twitter. It's in the pinned tweet.
And I will be linking your Twitter in the description of all of these, so...
Yeah. You can always, if you want, get monthly patches on the Patreon. I'm also going to do an Animal Force E+ e-reader card giveaway. I have, maybe 100 cards or so to give away. They're courtesy of Seraph on the Discord. I don't know what their Twitter is. They haven't given it to me. But I've got KK songs. I've got design cards. I've got animal cards. I've got one incredibly rare promo card, or what is it? Not. It's I guess it's whatever the PR stands for. I think it's promo.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a promotional card. It's one of the. I think it's who was it? It's Shinabiru. I have one of him to give away. He's from Famitsu Magazine or something like that, or maybe not Famitsu Magazine, but he's like a duck with this. He's represents some Japanese baseball team. That's all I know. but
That's hilarious.
He's incredibly rare, and I have one to give away. So that's going to be happening on the Patreon next probably month or so. So sometime in between January and February.
I don't know. This is probably.
If this is in March, then well, maybe it'll still exist. I don't know.
So it's going to start on the 21st.
Okay, so the 21st of January. Yeah, that's fine. They will have a chance, hopefully, to get some of these cards. I have 100 cards to give away, and I'm raffling them away to. I think it's giving away 2 cards for $5 patrons, and then 6 cards for $20 patrons of their choice. So it's kind of like a first come, first served basis. But the super rare card is going to be entirely random. Nobody's going to get to pick that. So
okay,
that's how it's going to work. And I think I'm going to start it out in February.
The super rare card is going out to any random tier, or just
any random tier.
Okay.
Anyone can get that.
Okay.
It's unfair to just kind of hold that back. I only have 1 spare of it. So I can only give away the one. And if somebody got to choose that, of course they would choose that as the first one. So it's going to not be choosable. I'm just going to give it away to. I guess I'll do a randomized poll out of all the patrons who are subscribed and by February 1st, and whoever wins will get that shipped to them.
Well,
we can work it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this out as something. Like, I'll put it out, like, maybe I'll put this whole thing out before then, so just...
Well, if you can't make this whole video out, just, like, add this like an add-in to the first episode.
Yeah, because the first episode will be out before February.
I mean, it's not like we were talking about, like, anything new after we ended the video, so they can experience everything else in order. This will just be us from the future.
Yeah. This is after episode 5. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we are done with the series, but that announcement was made at the very end for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, well, I figured I'd give you the time to shill yourself.
Well, I don't usually chill myself. So...
Yeah, I know. I'm just messing with you.
I'm trying to get too much attention before New Horizons because I know old Nintendo, they might not like it. That's why it's the patch and not the ISO.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I've got.
Yeah, this was a blast, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad to help out on the project. Hopefully, it was informative to say the least.
Yeah, you informed the hell out of me.
This game is my favorite game in the series, and I'm glad that I was able to share my love for it with everyone. Hopefully, everyone else will understand the love that Nintendo put into this specific version of the game.
Yeah.
Now,
Most
I really
definitely.
hope so. That they'll be able to experience all the new features for themselves and enjoy it to the fullest.
Yeah. And look forward to the final release.
Yep, no ETA, but hopefully before New Horizons. Probably not, though.
All right. Well, I'll see you next game. And thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
And thank you for being here, Cuyler.
Yep, thank you for having me.
All right. See you next time.